economy, the cash flows, there is an attraction at rural and semi-rural areas, and people would talk about prosperity. Similarly, we need to grow at 60% if you are thinking about growing. So there is growth, is a challenge. First challenge is the penetration. Second challenge, my dear friends, as I mentioned, is the profitability. Third, from perspectives of growth, real growth avenues. Third is, another thing which I would like to mention is the regulatory challenges. The Insurance Act Amendment 2015 has come out. It mainly talks about the FDI can go up to 49%, but there are many other items regarding solvency margin, financial status, distribution channels, ownership, the listing rules, the corporate governance, everything was there. Now the regulator has come out with all the regulations. Now there was an act, and the provisions of the act has been transmitted to the industry by regulation. Now the regulation spree is over. The last one, I think EOM, and this thing is coming out. So now that's a huge challenge. Insurance industry has to really restructure, flexible, and become lean and mean to abide by these regulations, which has stepped slightly ahead of the market. Regulations are always slightly a step ahead of the market to catch up with the regulation. We are struggling. In fact, the compliance department in each insurance industry, my colleagues from industry would swear, is becoming more complex and more complex and more complex. Are we deviating? Because the fine is now 1 crore. So are we deviating from the compliance? Are we on the right track? Is the board aware of the regulations? Are the executives aware of the regulations? Are we deviating? The systems, processes we put in place across the country, are they compliant with the division? This is an anxiety in the minds of CEO at every point of time. Every time of the member, the CEO has an anxiety because he is or she is personally responsible for this, not the compliance officer. So there's an anxiety. Is that there were a huge amount of regulations. The regulations about advertisement, there is a regulation about distribution channel, there is a regulation about holding board meetings, there is a regulation about solvency margin, there is a regulation expense of management, there is a regulation of the agency commission that could be paid, or what could be paid more than the agency commission. There's a huge amount of regulation. Are we compliant? Challenge number 4. Regulatory compliance. This is a major challenge for the insurance industry. Next challenge, I don't know how the time is I have. Maybe I have 5 more minutes. Okay? Sure. Yeah. It's a digital adaptation. You keep on hearing about digital explosion. Today, my colleagues were Kailash and Manish was talking about big data, analytics. Actually, probably the industry, the general insurance is grappling with data. We have credible data only for about last 4 or 5 years. Before that, it was jumbled, it was unclean data, it was inadequate data, and disparate format of data. To bring it into a single, analyzable group of data, with huge amount of deduplication, huge amount of field traffic, everything is involved to bring it into data. So once you have the data profile, then you put into big data and start analytics. Because analytics is a huge one. What is the kind of analysis that we are doing? Are we really able to utilize that analysis? Also, we keep on, huge amount of MISs are coming my way. Every office has a huge amount of reports that way, structure, lengthwise, all reports are there. Who is using those reports? Now, this is another crisis which is in the last days. Do I know in Calcutta how many chartered accountants are there and how many chartered accountants have a car insurance? How many of them do not have a professional indemnity policy? Do you have that data? Do I have a data what is the tendency of the illnesses that is affecting 25 to 40-year-old people in urban area, in rural area, and semi-rural separately? Do I have the data? No. Do I have the data that this is the kind of illnesses that is spread in these kind of areas, and this is the average cost for those illnesses, and this is the way I should be talking to the hospitals? Do I have the data? No. Do I have the data what is the amount of fraud in the places, amount of some health insurance I pay, what is the amount of exaggeration, what is the amount of fraud in that? How many people are really hospitalized, we don't need a hospitalization, how many people are undergoing a lot of diagnostic material processes, they really may not need it, or the other way around also, they are not being paid for what they really need. Do I have a data? No. Do I have a data in how much of the young people cause accidents or older people cause accidents, and either the accidents is more there on the weekends or on the Friday, and the car which I use to go to office creates more accidents, or the car which I use for my holidays creates more accidents? I don't have the data. I would like to have the data, because these data would help me of pricing the product to the appropriate target audience most correctly. This is another challenge we are grappling with. I have a huge, ripe technology of big data analytics here. I can construct data warehouses. Data warehouses can run huge one, and I don't have to spend a single money for data warehouse. Today, entire data warehouse is available on the cloud, which is not available to me 4 or 5 years. I have to invest on huge IBM servers, mainframe servers, more and more layers to the servers. I have to set up on a huge data center. Today, I just have to tell them the entire thing is on the cloud. I have to pay them on OPEX basis, or possibly a little bit of capital at the beginning, and then I have to pay it on OPEX basis. Its availability is there, but where is the data? Do I get data from the market to position on top of that so I can analyze that? It's not. It's quite rare. It's quite rare. What would be the kind of illnesses that inflict West Bengal traditionally during monsoons? And what could be the average kind of expenses for that? I would love to know as a health insurance, but I don't have that. And if I have the data, my machines can churn the data so fast that within 1 hour probably I can have a huge analytics play out. But I don't have the data. Another challenge. Another challenge which I again go for is, another 2 minutes please, is the digital adaptation. There have been a lot of telematics. Telematics is one thing which we've been talking about. Telematics is nothing better. You have to put a software in your car, and the way the car is driven, it keeps on giving us data, how fast this driver is driving the car, how fast he's taking the turn, how much he keeps on braking, and how much he speeds, accelerates, and slows down frequently. So I have a method, internationally accepted method, to grade drivers into that, A, B, C, D. And I can specify in my policy, you can, if you use A grade driver, this is my premium, B grade driver, this is my premium, D grade driver, this is my premium. The technology is available, but I cannot sell it to the customers because it's price sensitive market. Customers are not willing to pay more for these kind of facilities. They say, you've given me accident discounts and you forget about it. Availability of technology and not able to transmit to the customers, like telematics, like GPS monitoring, and just like there are houses which I can put a software into the house which will track the house conditions, whether it is getting overheated, whether there is a leakage, whether there is a gas leakage, or whether there is electric connections are on the loose, which will keep on telling to the insurance companies the data that this house is a risk for fire. It's available in Europe. It's being used by insurance companies in Europe. I'm not able to use it because it's not cost effective for me to buy and give it to the customers at this kind of a discounts. Digital adaptation is another technique. I can go on and on, my dear friends, but I have no need to do that. And I take I would like to take gratitude for this major institution in Kolkata, Bengal Chamber of Commerce, for inviting me here. And it was a great experience listening to my colleagues before my speech. And I wish today you will have a lot to discuss and digest and deliberate. And I wish this function all the success. Thank you very much.